Good evening. We begin tonight with escalating tensions in the Middle East, where a 48-hour ultimatum issued to Iran has raised concerns of a potentially significant military confrontation. Former United States President Donald Trump has warned that, unless Iran takes immediate steps to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, it may face extensive military action targeting key national infrastructure. Iran, in response, has issued its own warnings, indicating that any such action would prompt retaliation not only against regional energy assets, but also against broader infrastructure, including technological and commercial interests. The situation is developing rapidly, and there are growing concerns among international observers regarding the risk of wider regional instability. Intro. Presenter. Approximately 110 words. This is a special report examining the latest developments and their possible implications. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most strategically significant maritime routes, through which a substantial proportion of global energy supplies are transported. With a fixed deadline now in place, attention is focused on whether diplomatic efforts can prevent further escalation. In this report, we look at the details of the ultimatum, Iran's response, the potential humanitarian and economic consequences, and the broader international context. We begin with the timeline and the key developments so far. The current situation appears to have intensified following the issuance of a 48-hour deadline. In the early hours of March 22, the demand is understood to center on the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Statements attributed to U.S. leadership suggest that failure to comply could result in targeted military action against Iran's infrastructure. These targets are reported to include power generation facilities, oil refineries, gas production sites, and desalination plants. Such targets are not exclusively military in nature and would likely have significant implications for civilian life. Iranian officials have responded by warning that any attack on national infrastructure would prompt retaliatory measures. These may extend beyond conventional military targets to include infrastructure across the wider region. There have also been indications that international commercial operations, particularly those linked to technology and communications, could be affected. While the full extent of these claims remains unverified, they point to a potential widening of the scope of the conflict. Among the most serious concerns raised by analysts is the potential impact on water infrastructure. Several countries in the Gulf rely heavily on desalination plants for their fresh water supply. Disruption to these systems could lead to immediate and severe humanitarian consequences. Access to clean water is essential for public health, and any prolonged interruption could place significant strain on urban populations. At the same time, the global energy market is closely monitoring developments. Qatar, one of the world's leading exporters of liquefied natural gas, could be particularly affected in the event of regional instability. Experts have suggested that damage to energy infrastructure could result in substantial financial losses and prolonged supply disruptions. The implications would likely extend beyond the region, potentially affecting global energy prices and economic stability. These concerns underscore the interconnected nature of modern infrastructure and the far-reaching consequences of any disruption. International reaction to the situation has been measured but cautious. Several countries have indicated reluctance to become directly involved in any potential military action. NATO has reiterated its role as a defensive alliance, while other nations have emphasized the importance of de-escalation. This suggests that, at present, there is no broad international coalition supporting an escalation of the conflict. At the same time, global powers including Russia and China have expressed concern regarding the potential for further instability within the United States. Economic factors may also play a role in shaping public and political responses. Taken together, these developments point to a complex international environment in which diplomatic considerations remain highly significant. The absence of unified international support may also influence the strategic calculations of all parties involved. From a military perspective, analysts suggest that the situation presents a number of challenges. Potential courses of action, including targeted strikes or broader operations, carry significant risks. A limited strike campaign could provoke retaliation, while a larger-scale operation might lead to a prolonged and complex conflict. Recent developments in military technology, including missile and drone capabilities, have introduced additional uncertainties. Iran's approach, which has historically included asymmetric strategies, may further complicate any potential engagement. Experts emphasize the importance of clearly defined objectives and exit strategies in such scenarios. At present, there is limited clarity regarding how a conflict might be contained or concluded. This lack of certainty contributes to concerns about unintended escalation. The broader regional context remains highly volatile. Tensions persist in several areas, including Gaza and Lebanon, where the situation remains fragile. There have also been continued exchanges between Iran and Israel, contributing to an already complex security environment. Gulf states are monitoring developments closely, particularly with regard to the security of critical infrastructure. Reports of incidents near strategic locations have added to the uncertainty. Although details remain limited, analysts warn that the involvement of additional actors, whether directly or indirectly, could further complicate the situation. The potential for miscalculation remains a significant concern. In such an environment, even isolated incidents can have wider consequences. As the 48-hour deadline approaches, attention is focused on the possibility of a diplomatic resolution. The deadline is expected to expire in the early hours of March 24th. At present, there has been no confirmation of any agreement. Ultimatums of this nature can reduce the scope for negotiation, increasing the difficulty of de-escalation. Both sides face critical decisions, and the consequences of those decisions could be far-reaching. Even in the event of a last-minute agreement, the underlying tensions are unlikely to be resolved immediately. Should the deadline pass without resolution, the likelihood of escalation may increase. The coming hours are therefore expected to be decisive. In summary, the situation represents a convergence of military, humanitarian, and economic concerns. The ultimatum has introduced a defined timeline. While the response has raised the possibility of broader retaliation, the potential impact extends beyond the immediate region, affecting global energy markets and infrastructure systems. International reaction has so far emphasized caution and the importance of diplomacy. However, uncertainty remains regarding how events may unfold. The situation continues to be monitored closely by governments and analysts around the world. That is the latest on this developing story. We will continue to monitor events and bring you updates as more information becomes available. For now, the focus remains on whether a diplomatic solution can be reached before the deadline expires. From all of us here, thank you for watching. Good night.